What's up, Darkalicious? My name is Lydia.
Yeah, I'm Cody G.
And today we're gonna be...
Today we're going to be talking about Life is Strange 2. And specifically, this is going to be a spoiler cast.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
So we're going to be talking a lot about our feelings on the game. And I think we have to put this out there right from the beginning that this is a game that covers a lot of very political topics, right? And the developer goes out of their way to kind of hammer you over the head with it. So it's it goes without saying basically that you could find some of this stuff offensive depending on how sensitive you are to topics like bigotry, racism, homophobia. Like, it runs the gambit. It covers all the topics. So if you're uncomfortable discussing those things, if they offend you, this might not be the video for you.
Or the game.
This is an extension of the game, right? This is essentially an extension of the game, discussing its topics that it tries to cover and tries to, give you a message of, what the state of the world, in some ways at least. Mm-hmm. So if those things offend you, this is probably not for you. Otherwise, let's just jump into it and talk a little bit.
Mind.
Yeah, keep an open mind. Try to approach it without applying, any kind of racism or anything like that, right? So, the story is about two brothers, Sean and Daniel, whose father is killed in like a freak accident right at the start of the game, right? And basically, you're
on the run from the law
because an officer dies in this freak accident. And they're pinning it on you. Yeah. They're pinning it on Sean, who you're playing as.
So, yeah, the officer shoots the father, and Daniel gets upset, uses his supernatural powers to cause an accident. So, yeah, essentially you're both on the run from the law.
And the thing is that, yes, Daniel has basically like the Force. He's able to manipulate things by extending his arm and picking them up and moving them. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's the Force, right? Minus the mind stuff. But that's essentially and you're Mexicans living in America.
Like, you're Americans, but you're a Mexican descent.
That's correct. You're a Mexican ancestry, I suppose, right? And your father owns a place in Mexico, and
called
Portos Lobos, and you're on the run from the law, trying to get to Mexico, right? Because basically there's no getting out of it. There's way too many things, and as you progress through the game, more things keep happening that kind of pile on top of each other to the point where it's like there's no way you would ever walk out as a free man. They're the only way out is to go to Mexico. Literally, the only way would be to go to Mexico or to go to somewhere else and disappear, right? Yeah. Like live like a
off the grid
basically. So that's essentially the game. The game tries to hit you really hard with some emotional manipulation in some ways, like giving you a dog early in the game.
Yeah.
And soon as we got the dog in the game, I'm like, that dog ain't lasting.
No.
There's no way that dog is lasting, because that would be baggage. You've got to think of it like, as a computer programmer myself, I look at it and I think, okay, if this game has all these branching paths and you have a third member of your party, a dog, and there's all these variations on what can happen, they have to write code for all of those variations, including the dog. So no doubt you're like, well, that dog's gonna die, and surprise, the dog dies like not long after you get it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's implied you have the dog's name is Mushroom, and it's implied that you have the dog for a little while and that time has passed, but your actual time in game that the dog is with you is limited to maybe 3 or 4 scenes.
Yeah.
You have the dog, you're escaping a convenience store with the dog, dog's in the back of the car, dog's at the hotel, dog's at the abandoned house, dog dies.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So it emotionally manipulates you into feeling sorry, basically, right? Where it cheaply, I feel like very cheaply done, and it's just like, well, the whole thing is basically about, you know, topical events going on in the States right now, right? And there's two ways you can feel on that. You can take the side of, you know, it's important to be aware and, you know, understand what people are suffering. But there's also the side that says that, you know, that I would just like to play a game and have some fun. And if you need to tell us a message, go ahead. You know, lots of games have messages in them, but they don't have to beat you over the head with it nonstop. Like this game almost reaches a point where it's like the message is more important than the game itself.
When I got to the end of the game, I felt so empty, and
it wasn't. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just didn't feel like fulfilled, because like it was like a 10+ hour game, you know, like I had spent like days like streaming it and everything, and then like I don't know, there was no happy ending, and I know that like some people try to be edgy by not offering a happy ending, but it would have been nice to have one. But I guess based on the circumstances, there was no way to have a happy ending.
Well, there was an easy happy ending. The brothers escaped to Mexico.
But we've seen that ending on YouTube, and it's really depressing.
Well, what I'm saying is that was crappy writing.
Yeah, fair enough.
They should have just had the brothers escape to Mexico, and that's it.
Cut to black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, why does it have to be some depressing ending other than to force you to, like I said with the dog example at the start, force you to feel emotion, right? It's unearned.
Yeah.
Unearned. Because you have this journey of the brothers. And let's be real here. You've got, basically it is an escort quest, a 15-hour escort quest, where you're escorting a 9-year-old brat.
Yeah, he's kind of
right.
He is kind of a brat.
He for all the like nonsense that the developer tries to pull to make you feel for the kid, you know, because he grew up without a mother, he lost his father. It's like, well, he caused like 90% of the issues that happened in the game.
Yeah, he did.
Daniel doesn't listen to anything you have to say, does whatever he wants, and constantly causes problems that you have to go through. And it's essentially, the game is Daniel torturing Sean by doing stupid shit nonstop.
Yeah.
And then you dealing with repercussions of what Daniel's done.
Because you're the big brother and you have to deal with it.
Yeah. Is that not it? And so at the very end, when you're at the border and there's this like border crossing incident, it's really just like
easy. It's like, okay.
It's a super easy decision to make, because in the first game, right? You build this bond with Chloe, right? Yeah. She was your lost friend from the past that you've reconnected with. And by the end of the game, even though at the start of the game, Chloe's kind of annoying.
Yeah, she's super annoying.
By the end of the game, one, you could be her lover, right? By the end of the game, you're basically like, you know, girlfriends, right? You can be, at least. And you were presented with this thing of, do you save this city or do you save your girlfriend, right? And it's like, whoa, this is a tough decision. And we literally sat there for like
a good 10 minutes.
A good 10 minutes discussing what is the right decision here. Whereas when that same type decision was presented to us in Life is Strange 2, it's like, well, this is easy. We've gone through all this bullshit. Like, Sean has all these scars and bruises because of everything he's done to get his brother to this point, to get to safety across the border.
Yeah.
You're just like, well, this is an easy decision. We're running the border. Why would we not run the border?
Yeah.
We've come way too far to not run the border.
Yeah.
And so you select that, and then you run the border, and then for unexplained reasons, Daniel feels guilty that he's hurting people, even though he never felt guilty when he inflicted all the injuries onto you, including watching a priest beat the frick out of you with a pistol to the face, while Daniel just watches, even though he has the ability to stop it at any time.
Yeah, that really bothered me, that part. Like, I hated that part, because you're just like, dude, Like after like one pistol whip to the face, you're like, okay, maybe like the point was made. But like that happened like what?
The guy
4 or 5
like
times?
continued to repeatedly pistol whip Sean.
Yeah.
Until the point where he was just like, all right, I'm just gonna shoot you dead.
Yeah, and it was just like.
And even then, it was like Daniel struggling
he's like,
to.
meh.
Maybe it killed my brother, maybe it won't, I don't care.
I don't know, I'm kind of liking this haircut right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and you would think that he would have, like when the mom came, because he was so obsessed with the mom, Daniel was so obsessed. So then when the mom came into the picture, you'd think that he would have been like, oh my god, like jump at the chance, but he didn't. So that was...
He didn't care about that too much either.
Yeah, it seems strange.
So when you get to chapter 5 and at the end, and you're crossing the border, and Daniel dives out the car because he feels guilty about using his power to hurt someone. It's just like, these people were going to shoot your brother who went through hell to get you to this point.
Yeah.
Right? They were going to kill Sean. They have assault rifles, shotguns, and handguns all aimed at him. And Sean's only choice is to escape to...
Puerto Locos.
Yeah, to Mexico. And so, how can you blame Sean as at Daniel, right? And trying to understand what Daniel did is just nonsense, right?
Yeah.
So he dives out of the car.
And you're just like...
Daniel gets taken into custody.
And like, there's no option for you to like try and like get him,
stop him, or
it's
anything.
It's just like you just keep driving, and you're just like,
you can't stop. If you were Sean, if you stopped the car, you would have been shot dead.
Yeah, this is true.
So he had to keep going.
Yeah.
Right? But Daniel dives out of the car, allows himself to be taken in custody, and then the credits roll, and you find out that Daniel is now living with his grandparents with a tracker on his ankle, and that Sean made it to Puerto Locos and is hooked up with Cassidy.
Yes.
Right? From chapter 3. So it's like very unearned, right? Those feelings that they're trying to make you feel at the end of like, no, the brothers, the Wolf brothers that got separated and they're never going to be together again. It's like, well, Daniel could have just not got out of the car.
That makes sense.
It was completely forced.
Yeah.
Right? And the other option, so when you're presented with this decision at the end, the other option is surrender. And if you surrender, what ends up happening is you spend 15 years in jail. Sean. And Daniel gets off scot-free, even though he's the one that caused everything.
Thank you.
Sean has to suck it up. And then when Sean gets out of jail after 15 years, they're reunited. And Daniel still, even as an adult, kind of is like this like bubbly child who doesn't get what Sean's gone through.
Yeah.
And you get this scene of like Sean crying.
Yeah.
And Daniel talking and being all bubbly and excited with Sean.
Yeah.
And then Sean just like breaking down crying.
Yeah.
Because of the torture that you basically broke this guy.
Yeah.
Daniel broke this guy.
He's a broken man, and it's very sad.
And Daniel gives him a hug, and then they go their separate ways. There's literally a final scene where the two cars are parked, and I'm like, what? They brought separate cars to this meetup?
Yeah.
And they didn't come together. And then they drive in opposite directions, which is basically to say they went their separate ways, right?
So what was the point of this entire game? It's completely unearned emotion. And so when I watched the credits roll, I felt frustrated, angry, and disappointed. Disappointed was big, yeah.
And most of all, I want my money back, right? It's like, come on, this game was not cheap.
No.
Right?
No.
And I am, to a degree, tired of this whole, like, edgy developer thing.
Yeah.
Where they think that giving you a crappy ending, a somber ending, I guess would be the right way to phrase it, is good. That's good writing.
Don't question my artistic integrity, okay?
Right.
It's just like, well, but...
It's like, okay...
We play games to escape from reality, right? Like, this is just... at least give us something. Like, I understand, like, you know, siblings do grow apart.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Yes, that is true. However, the whole story is about these brothers who are super tight. At least that's the story they're trying to tell you, even though that's not the story you see. The story you see is you escorting a brat who won't listen to you no matter how many times you're like, don't use your powers in public, don't do this, do not antagonize the drug dealer, do not hook up with the crazy church people, do not jump out of the car while we're driving, and so on and so on. And he just does whatever he wants, and it makes you feel like all of your decision making is pointless, right? It takes the complete control out of your hands, right? Which as a player does not feel good, right? And it's like, I don't know, I felt nothing for most of the game. And when they, like, definitely there were moments where I had a tear.
Of course. Same.
Right? Multiple times. And most of the times where I felt angry were like when you saw them being treated badly because of they were Mexican, right? You're just like, fuck you. Like, or when it's revealed that one of your friends had to go through conversion therapy. You're just like, oh my God, this is horrible. This poor guy, what he had to go through.
Yeah.
But the problem is you don't even know the guys well enough, really, right? Like when you find out, what was that even, Jacob, I think his name was?
Yeah, Jacob.
When you find out Jacob had to go through conversion therapy, right?
Because he was like gay.
Yeah.
And the church didn't want him to be. And then they kicked him out of the church essentially.
Yeah. And then you find out this like huge thing, and then he's out of the story like 5 minutes later, right? And you never see him again.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, that was terrible that he went through that. But you never really got to stick with Jacob. You saw him in one scene before this, in the previous chapter. Then you see him here in this scene where it's revealed he had to go through conversion therapy. And then you never see him again. And you're just like, well, that was terrible, but it's also like you just kind of threw that in there, right? It wasn't like, okay, this is someone you know, and you're just like, oh my God, this is why this character is like this. Oh my God, the poor guy. It's just like, conversion therapy.
Bye.
Throw it in there just so we can get the reaction. And it's just like, come on, like.
Yeah. I thought like maybe like Life is Strange 1 had a little bit better writing, because like, do you remember in Life is Strange 1 when there was that twist that totally like blew you away? That didn't happen in this game.
There are multiple twists in Life is Strange.
Yeah, like I mean, like, well,
there was the one. Okay. Rachel Amber,
yeah.
We said spoiler cast.
Okay.
So there's Rachel Amber, who you find out is dead.
Yeah.
Then you find out your teacher is actually evil, and he drugs you and takes you to his lair to essentially murder you and rape you.
Yes.
And you're just like, whoa, this is messed up. This is our teacher. But then there was also the scene where the lady tries to kill herself because she was drugged and attempted, molestation and stuff. And like I said, these are all mature topics. Like there are some serious things in that game, but they did it so much better than in this one, right? Like those were characters you knew. Even, okay, one of the major twists that I thought was done really well was when Max discovers she has the power to dive into photos. And she dives into the past and saves Chloe's father. But then it changes the entire timeline.
Yeah.
Where when she comes back to present day, she's now friends with her arch nemesis.
Yeah.
And that Chloe's handicapped because she got in a car accident.
Right, that's right.
Right? And you're just like, what? And then Chloe is like, can you help me with assisted suicide?
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But you only feel those feelings because you knew those characters. You knew Chloe.
Yeah.
You knew, was her name Veronica? I think it was Veronica or Victoria, who was like your arch nemesis. And then when you come back and she's like your BFF, you're like, oh, you biatch. But at the same time, you're like, okay, now we get to know her a bit. And then when time reverts back to how it was before, all the weird stuff happened, you're like, okay, now we understand Victoria a little more, what's going on in her head.
Yeah, and we had to let the dad die in order for this particular
time to unfold.
Yeah,
right?
and just like for Life is Strange 2, you didn't really get enough time with anyone because you had to keep moving.
Yes, which is a good point, which brings you to one of the ultimate problems with the game, which is because you're not in a central location, even like, within like a city, right? You're constantly on the run from the law. And because of that, no character sticks around for very long. Even your mother, who probably sticks around the longest of any of the characters who come into your journey, only sticks around for probably two chapters, really, right? I mean, your love interest that you make in chapter 3,
so frustrating.
It kind of just came out of left field. Like suddenly they're lovers, and then she was gone.
Yeah,
and then she was gone.
And like Layla, Lila, we only had her for 1 chapter, and like we could have called her again, but I was thinking like with like my FBI brain, I was like, okay. They're probably tracking her calls.
Probably.
So, you know, I could think so. I'll call her when I'm in Mexico. Like, that wasn't even an option. That wasn't even on the table. Like... But just
because you made the smart decision then, it basically, like, blacklisted her as, okay, no more communication with Lila forever.
Yeah.
Right? Even though, like, as a normal human being, you would be like, okay, I still miss my best friend. Right. Just because 2 days have passed and I didn't call her doesn't mean our relationship is over.
Yeah, and there was that part in the mom's trailer where you could access the computer. I'm like, wouldn't now be a good time to be like, hey, you know, I'm almost at the border.
I thought that was what was going to happen.
Me
was
too.
You were going to go on Facebook because it was like a knockoff Facebook in the game.
Yeah.
And be able to contact Lila and be like, okay, you know, I love you or I miss you or whatever.
It's like, what the heck
But instead,
happened?
It's just like, okay, we made one decision one time to not contact Lila because we were on the run from the feds.
Yeah.
Therefore, she's blacklisted for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
I feel that a lot of it is unearned emotional stuff thrown at you, right? To provoke you to feel emotions.
Yeah.
And it's not done in a well-written way.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit more polish would have had us feeling the same feelings as Life is Strange 1. Like, Life is Strange 1 was like you know, what's it called? Home run. 100% was a home run. This was just like, you know, like when you like throw the ball at the guy.
You hit the batter and he gets to go to first base.
And like, it's just like they walk and then they walk home. And you're like, well, it's a home run technically, but it didn't really feel good. Yeah. It's kind of like how I'm trying to compare the two, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, I do believe that, like, it's like what you brought up there, which is them not being in a central location, like the school in Life is Strange 1. Everything kind of circled around the school, right? But because there's no central location, there's no consistent characters, it basically is a 15-hour escort quest with a brat.
Yeah.
That's what you ultimately come down to.
Yeah.
And he doesn't listen to anything you say.
Yeah.
Some of the decisions, no matter what you tell him, he will do. Even when you're in chapter 5, after 4 chapters of you trying to teach him to not be a shitty kid, he's still like torturing scorpions with his powers and stuff. And you're just like, dude.
And the thing is, like, you have to balance not pissing him off. And that was annoying to me because you're just like, well, like, you're the older brother, you're trying to like teach them, and then but the game's trying to like be like, hey, don't scold him too much. Wink,
scold
wink.
him, but don't scold him too much.
You're just like, well, like, what the
it's
hell
like,
am I supposed
okay,
to do?
so what do I do? Like, for every 2 shitty things he does,
I do
scold
one
once.
Thing? Yeah,
it's like, okay, I don't know.
And like, there was like one other thing I want to mention is like when you're caught at the border and you're put in jail, like you're put in a cell with a Mexican couple, right? And like they bring up a very good point too, because when you talk to them, you're talking to them in Mexican because you can.
Yeah.
And they're just, he's like, oh, why are you escaping
America?
Why are you escaping America? You know, like, Mexico sucks. Like, there's all the gang violence and stuff like that. That's why we're escaping in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just like, oh, like, shit, like, I never thought about this. Because, like, I thought of, like, Protos Lopos as, like, this El Dorado, like, and so I'm like, oh, God, like, this is a very good point. So then, like, I guess they pepper that in so that when you're at that surrender or keep going part, that's kind of at the back of your mind a bit. But at the same time, you're not a free man in America.
No, you're not. And if you surrender, right? Like we already discussed, there's no way getting out of it.
No.
And even in the previous scene to the border scene where you make the ultimate decision, the cop says to you, hey, you know, one of these things you could have got off.
Yeah.
But you've committed so many crimes when Sean actually hasn't committed any crimes. Zero crimes. Technically, the only
Daniel.
crime that you committed was stealing the tent after the guy handcuffed you, beat you,
Yeah.
berated you for being Mexican, and then your brother rescues you,
Yeah.
and then on your way out, you grab the tent, which allows you to survive.
Yeah.
That's technically the only crime Sean commits the entire game.
And you don't have to get the tent. We got the tent because we're like,
And
F this guy.
that's optional.
Yeah.
The only reason I took the tent, or you took the tent, sorry, is I told you to take the tent because it was like,
he put us through hell, man.
this guy was such an asshole to you that I'm like, kick that guy because he's on the ground, and I'm like, kick that guy and take the tent.
And I did.
It's like, screw that
it
guy.
felt good.
And then they want to like berate you about it, like you were a bad guy, and it's like, Sean hasn't done anything bad.
Yeah.
Sean, by the end of the game, Sean ends up basically just taking the hit for Daniel.
Over
right?
and over.
And that's both physically taking the hit for Daniel, but then ultimately legally
Yeah.
taking the hit for Daniel, and Daniel not being able to behave, right? Leads to Sean having to either serve 15 years in jail, losing a huge chunk of the, prime time of your life,
Yeah.
or them getting separated as Sean escapes to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? So
And the fact that Daniel's not even like kept for like observation, like, oh, you have supernatural powers.
yeah, I'm pretty
You know,
sure
that's interesting.
they'd be like, ship this kid to Area 51.
Right, this is
we
the
need to
thing.
study these powers for warfare or
yeah,
something.
not just be like, oh, you know what? Just send him to his grandparents. It's fine.
Send him to his grandparents.
Who does that? It's just weird.
I
It's
know
just-
this kid just, threw cop cars like 20 feet in the air, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool.
Just, yeah.
He's underage, so he's protected. It's
It's-
like, yeah, you really
but-
think that they adhere to those rules?
No.
freaking way. If
Yeah.
you've got some crazy magical power, there's no way they're following those rules.
Yeah,
You know?
I felt like there was just a lot of like holes in the plot. There's a lot of holes in the storytelling. That really, like, if it was just polished a little bit more, it would have felt like more fulfilling once we finished it, and not so disappointing.
You
and
really
depressing.
needed to feel more of a bond. In order for that ending to really hit you hard and make you like when the credits rolled. Ultimately, let's just finish up here.
Yeah.
Which is when the credits rolled, I didn't cry.
No, I didn't.
I
either.
didn't have a single tear. There were multiple times throughout the game where I was like, "Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm having a few tears."
Yeah. Oh, like the part where he was singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" in Mexican.
Yeah.
That I was like bawling. I was like that emotionally affected me for a couple days. I was just like, this was just so awful.
It rocked you to the core,
Yeah.
right? Someone could be so horribly bigoted towards this person, and he was forced to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in Spanish to these two rednecks in order to not be basically murdered on the side of the street. One of the other ones that I was like, oh my god, having tears was like when he had to keep standing up even after getting beat down
Yeah, at the
over
at the
and
church.
over at the church. Even
was
right now, it's making me
That
emotional
was
thinking about
awful.
it. Anyways, my point is that was a moment that tugged on the heartstrings and brought some tears, right?
Yeah,
But not for the reasons of like them being like super tight.
No.
Right? Like
feel-
or it's more of that brother being so protective
Mm-hmm.
is what made you feel it.
Yeah. Like it was forced, but it was like I felt like Sean was doing all the caring and Daniel just didn't at all. And it really hurt because it was like a very like it felt like a one-sided relationship.
It was.
Yeah.
That's a perfect way to sum it up. It was a one-sided relationship where Sean did everything.
Yeah.
Daniel just put you through hell and back.
Mm-hmm.
And you can relate that a little bit to Chloe, where Chloe in Life Strange 1 put you into shitty situations multiple times, but ultimately you felt the bond with Chloe.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas here you just like this little brat
Yeah.
is constantly causing shit, and I'd be better off just ditching him and going to the border.
Yeah.
You know, honestly.
I know.
But because the game demands that there is this super tight relationship that doesn't actually exist in the story, just in the developer's head, you know, that, you know, you've got to go rescue Daniel over and over and over. And at the end, when he dives out of the car and you cross into Mexico and the credits roll and you find out that they never really see each other again, at least far as you know, right? And it's like, well, you know, you can infer whatever you want, that maybe one day Daniel can go down there. But none of that is illustrated or told to you.
No.
Not to mention there's no dialogue. It's all done over just like this
music.
really
Somber
boring
music.
soundtrack. It wasn't even like a good song. It was just like a mediocre, shitty track. And it was just like, okay, so you just like threw in the towel, right? You're just like, whatever.
So we'll walk it in. Like, and you're just like that, you know, for all of this buildup, like that's the end. Like, this is what you're giving me. It's
a horrible disappointment. And if there is a Life is Strange 3, I will definitely have to be very choosy on whether we pick it up or not. Because Life is Strange 2 was a for sure pickup for me.
Yeah.
We waited until the physical copy came because we were like, I love Life is Strange 1. Loved it. So much that I'm like, I don't want to buy the single episodes. I want the disc.
Yeah.
I want to be able to display it and be like, I love the Life is Strange series.
Yeah, we even played the Captain Spirit thing when that came out.
Yeah,
like,
and we also have the only thing we have digitally is we have the Chloe spin-off game. But anyways, we love the series and it was terrible. This one was terrible. So ultimately, I guess we don't love the series. We just like Life is Strange 1.
Well, I just felt let down. Like
it was totally disappointing and not earned. The emotions they're trying to make you feel, you don't feel when those credits roll. It's just like,
yeah.
Okay.
So I was. Just...
I mean, that sucks that they're separated, but I mean, Daniel was a shitty kid. He was a shitty kid. And there's only so much you could tolerate, and eventually you're just like, whatever.
It just sucks because they were just like toting the, you know, Wolf Brothers are hitting over the head with it, and then at the end of it, it was all for naught. It was all for nothing.
Yeah. Ultimately, it brings you back to what I was saying at the very start of the game, which is the developers cared more about telling you these political messages rather than writing a good story about the Wolf Brothers triumphing through the adversity of racism and bigotry and all that stuff. Because when the ultimate thing happens at the end, you don't care. You don't care that Daniel and Sean were separated. Just like, okay, right? At least I didn't. Did you care?
I felt very let down at the end. Like when the credits were rolling, I was empty. I felt empty.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't like, oh my god, the brothers will never be together again. It's more just like, really?
Yeah.
Really? This is how you're gonna end it?
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, the game is very mediocre, and I would not recommend it. You know? I don't want to rank games like on a 1 to 10 scale because everyone's experience is different. So ultimately, it's just, let's say this. Would you recommend the game or would you not recommend the game to someone? I would say I do not recommend the game.
I say... Like, I wouldn't say no cold turkey, but I would say somewhere in the middle. Like, if you're looking for a time sink that has no fulfilling ending, then I recommend it for you. But if
there are much better things to sink your time into.
This is the
Play Life is Strange 1.
Life is Strange 1, 100% recommend. 100%. Life is Strange 2, if you're looking to fill the void during quarantine, you got nothing to do, maybe it's all right. But at the same time,
buy Persona Royale.
That's probably a better choice. Yeah, like, I mean, I do like Life is Strange, and I did feel feelings during Life is Strange 2, but overall it was
earned
just
feelings.
This is the thing. So.
Or did they just know how to tug at your heartstrings, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If I were to weigh
difficult.
1 or 2, I'll always pick up 1. That's
one
my,
was so good.
Yeah.
And that's why we were so looking forward to 2. And
Yeah.
I can't believe they blundered it so badly. If you've made it this far into the spoiler cast,
We really appreciate it, and we really want to know how you felt. Did you play Life is Strange too?
tell us how you felt about the game.
And like, what was your favorite part? What was your not favorite part? Like, let us know in the comments below. We do want to engage with you because, like, we need to like weep into each other's bosoms, like this,
and expressing how we feel about the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what this whole discussion is about, is expressing how the game made you feel at the end of it. The game is designed what they call a walking simulator, right? Where you just go from one thing to the next. It's not action game, it's not a shooting game, it's not RPG.
It's a little bit actiony, just a smidgen.
The itty bittiest of action. But it's more of a walking simulator with cinematic storytelling. Right? Mm-hmm. And so do you ultimately feel that the story they told over 12 hours roughly made you feel something? Or at the end, if you just felt like, why did I waste my 12 hours? Right? Anyways, Lydia, why don't you wrap us up for now?
Okay, guys, let us know in the comments below how you felt about this game, and we want to discuss with you, so please comment below. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, give us a like and a share. Likes are very important for our channel as it gives our tiny channel exposure, and we need your help to defeat the FBI? I don't know. Who was the villain? There was a bunch.
I don't know.
The prejudice. We need your help.
Bigotry.
Bigotry and prejudice. So let us know in the comments. And like our stuff. And subscribe. If you want to follow us on Twitter, our handle is YouAreDorkalicious. We also stream live weekly on Twitch. Our handle is super_Dorkalicious. And don't forget to join our Discord. The link is in the description. Okay, guys. This has been Lydia.
Yeah, I'm gonna G.
It's been fun dorking out with you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Lydia. If you like what you see, hit that like button as it helps our channel gain exposure. Also consider smashing subscribe. If you like our content, it would really mean a lot and helps our channel grow. If you want to interact with us, leave a comment down below or follow us on Twitch at super_Dorkalicious. We'll see you next time.